Laissez-moi parler, laissez-moi dire ça me penser.
What's going on YouTube? My name is Ralph.
And my name is Shapat.
And together we are the JPs. We're the JPs.
We are.
Oh my gosh.
We thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing our videos. We ask that you continue to support us. If this is your first video, please be sure to click on the bell so that you can get updates on our video posting, which is every single Thursday. We ask that you continue to share your video with a friend.
Tell that friend.
And another friend.
To tell those friends.
And all your friends.
So we can spread the message.
Yes.
And we truly, truly appreciate it. If you've been keeping up with our channel, you may have noticed that prior to, we've been talking about before you get into a relationship. So things like identifying who you are, identifying, what your expectations are, setting those expectations, and really taking the time to get to know yourself before you jump into a relationship, not jumping into a relationship when you're hurt or when you feel like you're broken. But now we're going to transition into you're now in the relationship. Let's say you found that perfect woman.
Or ladies, you found that perfect man.
And things have been going well. Y'all on the phone till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, talking about nothing and everything at the same time. Y'all going out on dates.
Going out to eat, gaining weight.
Yeah.
Telling your friends about him. Just everything under the sun, that euphoric love that you feel in the beginning of a relationship.
Yes, but there's just one problem.
One problem.
And that one problem is you guys argue all the time. So now the question becomes, is it healthy to argue? Now, if you read articles online or if you do research, there's two different sides of it. There's research that takes the side of, yes, it is healthy to argue. There's research that takes the side of, no, it is not healthy to argue.
Right, and both sides, of course, will give you valid reasons, and you'll read it and say, okay, yeah, this is true. And so, you may either be in the middle, or you'll think, okay, yes, it is, or no, it's not. But after doing our research, first we started out by defining what an argument is.
Right.
And an argument is an exchange of opposing views, usually heated or angry. And after doing that research and doing some additional research, we've come to the conclusion, in our opinion, that an argument is not a good thing.
Right.
Constant argument in a relationship is not a good thing for that relationship.
It is not healthy to argue. Because here's the thing with arguments. Because it is a difference in opposing views and you're exchanging those views in a heated setting, usually what happens is one person's trying to win while the other person is going to lose. Right? So if Chappette and I have a heated argument, and I'm trying to win, and if I do win and she loses, then who really wins? I don't win because I may have hurt her. Right. With arguments too, there's usually a lot of emotions involved. So what we do is I may say something hurtful because I want her to stop talking so I could win. Right.
So both people are probably digging deep. And so the goal of an argument tends to be, like Rob said, for one person to win, or for me to win my argument. So I'm pulling out all the cards that are on the table, and feelings can get hurt. But also in the same case of an argument, you lose that teamwork mindset because of, you're thinking selfishly, you're thinking I need to win this thing. And so with that, losing that teamwork mindset, you want to make sure that you're preventing that. And in an argument, that's ultimately the goal, is to win.
To win. The other thing too is I've just never seen anybody argue without heated passion or emotion, right? So I've never seen people argue like this. Hey, Chappette, just want to let you know, just because your hair is long and beautiful doesn't mean it's really long and beautiful. Yeah.
Well, just because you tell funny jokes doesn't mean you're really funny. You know what?
Well, just because your eyes are bright and beautiful doesn't mean they're really bright and beautiful. I just want you to know that. I win, sucker. Pow. Yeah, so arguments don't happen like that. Usually there's a heated exchange. There's a lot of passion behind it. So what we say is arguments all the time are not healthy. But what can be healthy, or actually what is healthy, is to have disagreements. That's healthy. That happens in every relationship because you're two different people.
Right. Disagreements are inevitable in a relationship.
It happens.
And embrace it. Embrace it, but also in the same case of embracing it, tackle it correctly with the disagreement, so it doesn't lead to anything more than just a disagreement.
Right.
But in a disagreement, you're two individuals with opposing views, with opposite views, but you're not coming at that disagreement with that heated discussion or with that mentality to win.
Right.
So disagreements, we have a discussion, we sit, we're gonna have different views, and we have disagreements. We try to make sure that we prevent arguments as much as we can.
Yeah, here's where we stand on arguments. Disagreements are normal. Disagreements happen. You know, there's no number of disagreements that I'm going to say is healthy or is not healthy. But because you're two different people from different backgrounds, different families, different upbringings, different beliefs at times, you'll have disagreements. The healthy way to handle those is through conversations, discussions. That's important. Now, if disagreements are not handled with the proper emotions, then disagreements can turn into arguments. And if arguments are not handled with the proper emotions, which a lot of times they're not, then that can turn into fights, right? And it's not just physical fights, but verbal fights as well, where you're really digging deep into someone's psyche at times. And it's not healthy to argue. It is healthy to have opposing views, because then that forces a conversation to happen. That forces us to talk. It forces you to grow and learn how to work together as a team. But if you're arguing all the time, then that's a sign that there's something that's not quite right. And don't think that you can change that just by marrying that person. that is not going to happen. If you're having arguments all the time now, it's time to stop and think about what is causing all these arguments. What are we missing? Where's the breakdown in communication to force us to have arguments? I remember when I was in middle school, there was a little girl I had a crush on in middle school, and we used to argue all the time. And people would be like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute, you're gonna get married." And the only reason they said that is because we argued all the time. So I grew up kind of thinking that, you know what, it is normal for couples to argue all the time.
All the time, but
It's
it's not.
No,
it's not. That's
doesn't
not
have to be that
healthy.
way.
It's not healthy.
No.
You know, it's not healthy to argue all the time.
Yeah.
You don't ignore disagreements as well, because ignoring those disagreements is what leads to the arguments and what can potentially lead to the fights.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be the kind of couple that runs away from conflict. Do not run away from conflict. When disagreements happen, when conflict happens, you want to sit down and address it. Tackle them. Don't be, if you ever meet a couple that says, "We never had any disagreements, we never had any fights, and we never had," look them in the face and tell them, "You a lie." Okay? Look them in the face just like this. You a lie. Okay? Because people are different.
Right.
And you're going to have disagreements. So the goal, and I'm not saying that Chopin and I, we always do this. We strive to do it. We have conversations, we have discussions, we have disagreements. And sometimes, because we feel so strongly about our points, we may have a passionate disagreement, but we try very carefully to not let that lead into a fight or an argument. And two things help us in making sure that our disagreements remain disagreements and don't jump into fights and arguments. And it's, we're going to do two things. We're going to make sure that we exercise control our emotions, where we don't say things to hurt each other, things that you can't take back. And the other thing is, too, we're going to exercise maturity, understanding what do we really want out of this conversation. That's our goal, to make sure that we come together as two hearts, one beat. So, to answer the question again, is it healthy to argue all the time? No, it's
absolutely not.
Just because people do it, just because it happens, doesn't mean it's healthy, doesn't mean it's normal. What is healthy is to have discussions, to have disagreements at times, and come together and figure out how can we get back on the same page.
Come to a conclusion.
Yeah. All married couples ain't out here arguing all the time.
They are not, you know, and of
and
course
you don't have to either.
Right. Sometimes we hear that, "Oh, if you're married, you know, you're always arguing."
Yeah.
That's not the case. You can prevent arguments from happening by having that open communication. We've touched on communication multiple times in our channels, and that communication, having that solid foundation of communication, will also help you in preventing some of these arguments, because you guys are more open to discussions and disagreements that come up from those discussions.
Absolutely. So make sure that we're not getting in the habit of arguing so we can break up, so we can make up, so we can break up, so we can make up. Try to break that cycle.
Right.
Make sure we're having healthy, mature conversations, so that way we don't lead into arguments that will eventually lead into fights. So thank you guys for tuning in. That's our take on arguments. let us know what you think. Comment below, share with a friend. You know, you have a conversation. We love when couples tell us, hey, I watched your video, and you know, me and my boyfriend or girlfriend, we had a conversation about it, or me and my spouse, we had a conversation about it. We love that. This is what we strive off of, and we thrive off of that, because we want this to be a conversation that promotes godly, healthy couples, and we would love to see relationships thrive. We want to see marriages just flourish, and that's our hope and that's our dream. So we thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Ralph, and we don't argue all the time. And thank you guys for tuning in. Check out my watch, man. My watch game's sick. You already know my watch game's sick. See you guys next week.